Nike, Adidas, Puma. These giants knock and the football world opens up. An Italian club said no and flipped the script. Napoli didn't only reject the biggest sporting brands, they built a model that makes them millions and in turn rewrote football business rules. Want to know how they outsmarted these giants? Stay tuned because this story is wild. You ever stopped to look at Napoli's jersey lately? I mean, really look. If you're only glancing, you might have missed something. And that is, unlike pretty much every other big European club, there's no Nike swoosh, no Adidas stripes, not even a Puma logo staring back at you. Instead, what you get is EA7. Yeah, EA7, the sports line from Emporio Armani. Not your everyday football brand. Fancy, right? Now let me jog your memory a bit. Before EA7 stepped in, Napoli's kits were all Kappa. From the 2016-17 season up until 2020-21, Kappa was supplying Napoli's jerseys, shorts, basically the whole equipment you'd expect from a kit sponsor. But then, Aurelio De Laurentiis, Napoli's colourful owner, pulled the plug. Napoli isn't the first to play this game. Rangers, Leicester City did something similar. Football clubs handling their own kits sometimes turns out to be a smart move. But why would a football club do that? Why would they ditch big-name brands like Nike or Adidas and go their own route? After all, they are the big names in the game for a reason, right? Imagine getting paid millions every year but having zero say over your own shirt. That's been the reality for many football clubs. For decades, their kits have been ruled by the same old giants – Nike, Adidas, with Puma always trying to sneak in. These brands often set the rules, and here is how the deals usually work. Clubs get a guaranteed annual fee and free gear for players and staff. On top of that, they earn a royalty, usually 10 to 15% on every jersey sold. Clubs get their slice off wholesale, not what fans actually drop at the counter. Translation? Nike and Adidas walk away with the bag. Think about it. While the clubs buy jersey inventory and use their marketing power to persuade fans to purchase these jerseys, the brands pocket most of the profit. Clubs, like Napoli, get a steady paycheck, no stress, but no real control. No say in design, distribution, or marketing. It's safe, but it's limiting. For Napoli, it was different. Their culture, history, and story that should all be part of their merchandise were all being washed away. That's why Aurelio De Laurentiis said no. I don't want to make Nike or Adidas richer, and called his friend Giorgio Armani. How does a man like him think, decide, and actually pull off moves that turn the football world upside down? Most football fans know him as that erratic owner of Napoli, that guy who keeps headlines buzzing. But Aurelio De Laurentiis is way more than just a wild story on the sidelines. He's a media mogul, a film producer, and a figure who has left a mark on modern Italian business and culture. When he stepped into football, he didn't play by the usual rules. Owning Napoli isn't like owning a regular football club for De Laurentiis. He took on the role of a lifelong sports executive, and he approached it like a brand master. The club to him is not just a simple football team, but a story, a product, a show, and a medium that brings together narratives, commerce, and celebrities. That mindset only sharpened over decades in the cutthroat film industry. You could say it also directed him to pull the plug on Napoli's long-standing kit deal with Kappa, a bold move away from conventional deals. Napoli's partnership with Kappa kicked off back during the 2004-05 season. At the time, it was a short-lived relationship. Napoli was still grinding it out in Serie C. Kappa came back on board in 2015 and continued to run smoothly. As De Laurentiis carefully engineered Napoli's return to the top of Serie A and consistent Champions League football, his ambitions for the club outgrew what Kappa could offer. Napoli was getting the global exposure it craved deeply, and its stories had to be told in better ways. It also didn't help that football fans disliked the Napoli jerseys made by Kappa. And once De Laurentiis himself pointed out that the club had suffered low patronage on the jersey side, and he could no longer deal with Kappa. We have many followers in America, but nobody was buying our jerseys. So I said to myself, then we'll do without a kit sponsor. My advisors all said, "You're crazy, no. Adidas, Puma, and Nike take 18 months to get a shirt done, and you want to find someone who in so little time will design and manufacture them?" De Laurentiis has always been obsessed with control, especially over image rights, a principle drilled into him from his film background, where intellectual property is everything. For De Laurentiis, creative control was everything, and that mattered in how Napoli presented themselves to the world. Also, a bigger cut in royalties. Perhaps that unspoken desire played a huge role in his decision to move on from Kappa, continue to ignore the big sporting brands like Nike and Adidas, and bring his friend onto the pitch. The big question remains, how is a luxury brand and a huge football club radicalizing sportswear fashion on the global stage? They say first impressions matter, and for De Laurentiis, working with Armani was no different. At first, he wasn't convinced. In one interview, he admitted, "Emporio Armani did propose some ideas I didn't like, so I had a good laugh about that." Classic De Laurentiis, always speaking his mind and keeping everyone guessing. Despite the early bumps, Napoli and EA7 eventually finalized a one-year kit deal for the 2021-22 season that has continued with several renewals since then. This was not any partnership. It was Armani's first full venture into football kit design, in what is considered a bold move for both the club and the brand. Since Napoli teamed up with EA7, the club hasn't just been making jerseys. They've been telling stories that you can wear. Each kit feels like a chapter from the history, culture, and soul of Naples. Take the bold Maradona tribute, for example. That one wasn't just a shirt, it was a love letter to the greatest player in the club's history, his iconic face proudly displayed for the world to see. Then came the spooky Halloween edition, splashed with haunting skull graphics, inspired by the city's underground crypts. Napoli didn't stop there. In the 2023-24 season, they dropped the Everywhere jersey, and this one was pure genius. The design featured a map of global MSC ports on an elegant ivory base, paying homage to Naples' deep-rooted maritime traditions and its role as a gateway to the seas. And just when you thought they couldn't top that, the 2024-25 season brought us the mythic Partenope kit. The jersey came in a striking turquoise color with fine jacquard patterns. Its production was limited to only 2,500 pieces, one for each historical Naples year. Honoring history was only part of the plan. De Laurentiis was creating more than a jersey. He was setting up a whole new way to control the club's brand and merchandise. The takeaway of this is the new normal, or something only Napoli can pull off. With a little look forward to Kevin De Bruyne joining Napoli, growing global recognition and star power to this fashion powerhouse, attracting a global audience to Napoli's unique story. Forget the safe contracts. Napoli ripped up the old supply chain. They didn't just swap kits, they made a full restructure and built from scratch, based on 3 pillars. The first pillar, money. Most clubs chase a big upfront fee. Napoli said no. They only took about 100,000 euros from Armani. It sounds crazy, right? But in exchange, they got the Armani name and total freedom, plus 50% profit margin per jersey sold. Second pillar, control. Nike tells you what to wear, when to release, and how to sell. Napoli flipped it. Design went in-house, and the kits told Napoli's own story. Maradona faces, Halloween skulls, mythic turquoise patterns. Each drop felt more like a fashion collab than a football jersey. Third pillar, selling. No middleman, no wholesalers, direct to fan, club store, Amazon, limited drops, exactly like sneaker culture. Hype, scarcity, FOMO. If you didn't buy it in week 1, good luck finding one later. Napoli weren't making kits. They were running streetwear drops in football form. After a thunderous career at Manchester City, Kevin De Bruyne joined Napoli. His move to Napoli made a statement. It was a tectonic shift that somehow bent the axis of European football. He had the history, He had the technicalities. He had the gift. Kevin De Bruyne as a midfielder evolved into a brand, and Napoli took a hold of that. When it was announced, Napoli moved from the lurks of history, ready to drive its own narrative into the floodlights. Kevin De Bruyne brought the metronome of Manchester to the foot of Vesuvius. Napoli would have its unique rhythm, drawn from passes that slice defenses. This introduces a new age of commercial poetry. To put it into numbers, if Kevin De Bruyne helps sell 500,000 shirts worldwide, a traditional Nike deal might net around 10 million euros total. Napoli's way? That's closer to 22 million euros in pure profit. Same shirts, same fans, but this time the bag stays in Naples, fueling their sporting ambitions and a squad competing for the Champions League every year. The EA7 Napoli kit, already a badge of identity in Naples, is now strapped to a global ambassador that is no stranger to the highest level of competitive football. Now, every pass, every goal, and every headline that carries De Bruyne's name will also carry the crest and kit of Napoli. Napoli is pushed beyond being just a provincial name. The shirts could go on to become exports, products, and statements worn from Tokyo to Sao Paulo to Lagos to Buenos Aires. Kevin De Bruyne's arrival gives Napoli the center stage in the football theater where the limelight is owned, not borrowed. In a clash of colors and commerce, of artistry and ambition, the EA7 kit leaps into being a banner on one of the most important names in top-flight football. Napoli played their games right, off and on the pitch. They are in top-flight football with an important name in their lineup. They ripped up the old sportswear playbook to run the game on their own terms. They're creating a global identity that draws on fans and eternal love. And while doing all that, they've turned a low-margin side hustle into a revenue machine worth millions. So what do you think will happen from here? Is Napoli the precedent, or will Nike and Adidas catch up on their game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe because we've got more deep dives into football's biggest moves coming your way.